I'm delighted to say that we're joined in studio by two very special guests. It's all ahead of the Dublin Basketball Challenge. It's coming to the National Basketball Arena in November. Rich Ensor, who's the MAAC Commissioner and all-round Irish sporting legend, KIERAN Donaghy. You're very welcome to studio, lads.
Thanks, Adrian.
Thank you.
Thanks a million for coming in. Rich, tell us, for the uneducated like myself, what's it all about?
Well, we're coming in town here with 8 basketball teams from the United States. Division I NCAA programs, 4 men's, 4 women's from the MAAC. And then we play the Atlantic Sun teams, which are a competitor conference of ours located in the southeast. They're mostly Florida and as far west as Arkansas. So it's a preseason tournament. We do a lot of these in the States. You got to get your team ready for conference play. And so this is an opportunity to bring our athletes over to Dublin. Get them. Many of them have never traveled before. They're all 18 to 23-year-olds. And it gives them that international flavor, and hopefully they do some good things here with the children in the area, and encourage them to stay involved with sports and education.
And there's 2 games on the Saturday, 2 games on the Sunday. It's men's and it's women's, and it's live on ESPN. It's a deal. It's a big deal.
We've been here with our friends from ESPN for the last 3 days. Michelangelo's traveling with me, and we just had a site visit and did all the work, preparation for the broadcast. Yeah, so we'll be live primarily on ESPN Plus and 3. I don't know how familiar you are with the networks here, but those are both digital networks, and they have about 34 million homes that watch them regularly. So it'll be a lot of exposure for the teams, and more importantly also for Dublin, because as you know, sports tourism is becoming a big economic driver, and that's part of the reason why you see people putting on these events.
Yeah.
What's the attraction of bringing it over to Dublin? Like, why was this the place that you picked if you could go to any European city?
Well, I'm from the Northeast. About 1 out of every 3 people has Irish blood in them, you know. So I have my mother-in-law is an O'Callaghan from Cork, so you know we have ties, and like myself, a lot of the coaches and players do as well. So, and our schools are rooted in this area. Iona College is one of our schools. We have Manhattan College. So they're all pretty well known. Manhattan College is where they do the Gaelic football in the States. So, you know, we have a lot of ties. So it is attractive. And
the Irish welcome too, Rich.
It is indeed.
You like that Irish welcome?
I have to do my accent when you say it. Not when you're recording.
You can save that for when the ESPN lads are in. How excited should we be about it, KIERAN? Give us a bit of a sense of, like, you know, what we can expect in terms of the play.
Well, Rich and Garrett Maguire and Mark Mulholland, who I played with on my Irish national team when I was 16 and 17, they had 2 of these events in Belfast that I was a part of in 2017 and 18, and they were unbelievable events. It's just the level of basketball, like, it's a pre-season tournament, but it counts on the record. So, like, they're coming over here, and it's the beautiful thing about college sport, much more than what we'd probably watch more of, which would be maybe NFL, NBA. But I would always watch the college basketball as my #1 sport in America, because these kids are out here. There's no hidden agendas. They're playing for their college. They're playing for their scholarship that they've been offered, and it's do or die basketball. If there's a loose ball on the floor, NBA game, regular season, fellas will look at it. Here you're going to have people diving into the crowd trying to save the ball. It's a great event. It's really well run. Lovely as a dad of 3 girls, as a proud girl dad, to see 4 ladies teams over here this year. So there's 4 sessions, 2 sessions a day. And you get to see a men's and a women's game. There's a 50-piece marching band that's going to be over. So, you know, you've been to the American sports, they'll have the trumpets, they'll have the place rocking. The National Arena is a class venue, really intimate venue. It's going to be packed on all 2 days, and it's just a great level of basketball, and lucky to be having it coming here. Like, I've been a kid watching ESPN, watching the classics in Hawaii and all these places that they're on. So to have it coming to Belfast was lovely, but to bring it here to Dublin is amazing. And there's an event in London the week after, all through Inspire Sport. So it's a really good event if you're a kid. And basketball is so popular now as well, Adrian. You know it. When I was on the Kerry team first, it was kind of nearly looked down people's noses because I was a basketballer / but now, like, every Gaelic dressing room, every footballer, everybody knows about LeBron. They're getting the stuff through their phones every morning. basketball is growing massively in the country. You see it in our leagues, how competitive they've got over here, and yeah, this is a lovely tie-in for it.
Yeah, well, the full court press has suddenly become a GAA expression, not a basketball expression. It's definitely adapted that.
Exactly.
So Rich, the steps for the kids that are coming over here in terms of their ambition, obviously, is getting into the NBA, WNBA. Is that? And how
well, yeah, I think you do see that a little bit, Adrian. But they're also it's very important in our league that they get educated and get a degree, because frankly, only a handful of athletes in our country get into the NBA every year, and we're not at that level typically. We send a lot of players into the European leagues, and that's where you'll see them end up. So no, for us, it's really about getting an education and getting an opportunity to play college ball, and then if something happens where they can stay and play further in Europe, it's great. And that's one of the reasons I got involved, was because when I first met Gareth McGuire about 7 years ago, I came over to check on some of our victory scholars, and they were athletes that were placed in any number of schools, including Trinity. And so we did a little tour, and as we were driving across the country, I said, Gareth, you should really think about doing one of these preseason events. It would really be a great cornerstone for you to have, and then build your regular season competitions afterwards. So that was really the germination of that particular idea. And we've done a lot of these events in the States too. We've run one at Thanksgiving time in Orlando. It's called the Orlando Classic. It's a real big event at a much higher level. But this is going to be a great event. You're going to like to see the women play as well as the men. Or one of the women's team, Marist College, went to the Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament. So, they're pretty good teams. And, of course, my alma mater, St. Peter's University, they went to the Elite Eight last year in the NCAA. So that was a big moment for me and the MAAC. So great times.
Yeah, and 4 games in each day. I totally undersold it earlier on. There's full value for your 25 quid, Rich. This is inspiresports.com, by the way, if people want to go along and get tickets. You mentioned about getting into the community. Is that part of the remit, that there's an opportunity to engage the local community to get on that?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Kieran, you want to talk about that a little?
Yeah, the Victory Scholars that Rich said that he came over to keep an eye on 6 or 7 years ago, they play in the Irish Super League, the Division 1 league in Ireland. But not only do they play with their teams and they train with them at the weekend, but they also go to the colleges to do their masters. But then they really get out in the community, and that's what Mark and Garrett have really emphasised, is getting them out there, inspiring kids through sport, which is the big message. But obviously basketball being the sport is key. It's such a good sport for boys and girls, and really easy to kind of, I think for a kid, to throw a ball up and see it go through a hoop, it's very addictive, very quick, and it's a sport that you can play all year round. It's not weather dependent. You're indoor, you're warm. Thing I like about it most.
That's why I like it the most.
Yeah, you used to just rock up and put on your shorts, and you're not going to be out there freezing like I would be in a football pitch some days, or getting sleet slapping across my face sideways. But yeah, they do unbelievable work in the communities. I've seen it firsthand. I've been in Belfast, seen the work they've done there on both sides of the border, and they're absolutely brilliant ambassadors for the game, and they're great kids. Rich, like from my interactions with them, they come over here to really, their remit is really trying to better themselves, but trying to enforce in the community about how important sport is, and where sport maybe has taken them from where they were to where they are now, and where they could go. And sport has opened so many doors for me, basketball and football, from just dedicating myself to it. And I guess these guys' messages to the young kids around Ireland is, listen, if you're struggling, you're not finding your way, invest into sport, and it can bring you in a really good way. It shows you how it involves you in teamwork. Every business in the world is based around teamwork, and no better way to show that through sport. So, but it's a great event. Like the games, the level of the basketball, the atmosphere that will be created in the arena in a few weeks' time. That's what it's about. That's why I'll be looking forward to bringing my girls up to it. And I know there was a lot of people came from Tralee up to Belfast for the last one, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of them going to Dublin to see that level of basketball. We're a basketball mad country, and to have this coming to our doorstep is a huge opportunity, and I can't wait for the 2 days and the buzz that'll be around it.
Yeah, and the 8 schools that are here, they'll all do community engagement pieces. They're going to visit the schools, do a talk about staying in school, getting educated, as well as playing sports. So they're all committed to doing that. And then on the Friday morning sessions over at the arena, we're going to have Kids Day, where basically we're going to be bringing in busloads of the young people and a lot of them from disadvantaged areas. Will be able to come in and see probably the first basketball game in person. So that's the kind of commitment we've made, the teams have made, and it's very common in the United States to see this kind of involvement by the athletes. They're really very sincere, and it's not just basketball. The MAAC runs 22 sports championships, for, across the board. So they're all involved on our campuses and in our communities.
If to get I've spoken about this before on the show, but my earliest buzz of a game really was the time where Tralee won the league in '96 in Tralee, and it was the complex and it was a packed house. And the thing I remember most about it was, and the Americans have taken this to another level in terms of putting on a show for people, but this is what the kids are going to get that Friday that they come, and obviously then Saturday is going to be jammed as well. But going to a game, the lights shut off in the Tralee Sports Complex, how they did it back in the day without the mobile, but the lights shut out, the spotlight came on the middle of the floor, the Eye of the Tiger came on, the players came running out with socks, throwing stuff into the crowd. We just, from that moment, just completely hooked on the game. But that was a huge part of it. So what Rich is saying there with these kids that are going to come down on the Friday, they're going to be in there and they should be going away going, Mom, can we get a basketball? Where's the closest hoop? And that's what you want. Yeah. You want them to go down that road rather than a road that's, that we don't want our kids going down. So that's what they're trying to do here.
Okay, well, inspiresports.com if people want to go along and get tickets. As you say, games on the Friday and the Saturday, 4 games a day. We'll get the information right eventually, and people can go along and get their tickets for it up there. Nearly 40 years young. You're still at it?
Yeah, still at it, yeah.
What are you still at? You're going.
Don't tell the wife, but I'm back playing football and with the club, and getting ready for pre-season now. Our league is starting in 2 weeks with a local derby against Killorglin in a packed Tralee Sports Complex that they seem to always match us up in the first day of the season because I think they know they'll have a rip-roar in the complex in Tralee. So we're all systems to the pump there. For us, we did the double last year, so Jim Garvey, our sponsor, we promised him we'd get the cup maybe at the start when he came in sponsorship, but there's 6 years gone. We finally got it last year, but unfortunately now he's kind of putting the pressure on to make sure we go and do back-to-backs, and I'm kind of going, it's kind of mightn't work that way, but we got a great squad. Owen Quigley is on the Irish national team. He's with us. Daniel Jokubaitis from Lithuania, who's been in Tralee, who's adopted Tralee guy. He's been there for 4 years now. Myself and Fergal O'Sullivan are the 2 elder statesmen. We're back, but we've got a host of new young guys coming in, including Irish international Ivers. He's only 17, but an unbelievable athlete. So we've got a lovely core group there that we've had in Tralee, full of kind of Tralee kids, and obviously we'll have our pros. We've got an American Indre Jackson class player, actually played in the league last year with a team in Galway called Marie. We've got some European guys then as well. We've got a big guy who's got the same second name as the league MVP in the NBA, Jokic, so we're calling him the Joker, even though we don't know how funny he is yet, but he's got that nickname.
Hope he likes that name.
And we got a guy from Sweden, Mitch, we're really looking forward to the year ahead, and it's 2 weeks and it's going to be kicking off, and it'll be all systems to the pump, and a little championship game on Sunday with the Stacks, so getting ready for that as well. So busy at the moment.
You're regular Tom Brady over here.
Well, no. I don't have 6'7" guys standing in front of me, Rich.
I think Rich, you've nailed him there. I think that's whatever about what your other half is saying to you. What's the body saying to you about all this activity?
The body isn't bad. So I was back pre-season with the basketball maybe 6-7 weeks ago. Not making all the sessions because we're busy with my job as well. So, but we're into the kind of the do or die stuff now in the championship in Kerry. So, it's all hands to the pump. We've unfortunately picked up a lot of injuries from having won the county championship last year. We played our last game in the club championship against the Crokes, so we're coming off the pitch, and an old fella said to me, we're missing 8 from the county final team. You're one of them, he says. You've no excuse, but we've 7 injuries. And I was kind of like going back in the car going, 7 injuries from our starting team last year. So I felt that maybe I owed it to the group to go back and help with training, because I was in there doing a bit of coaching. So I said, look, I might as well be out there galloping around and trying to help them that way. So yeah, I've had a good kind of 5 or 6 weeks and starting to feel a bit better about myself on the pitch, because I'd thrown away all my gloves and a lot of my gear, and kind of I was well on the way to not playing anymore. But look, it's enjoyable. They're my own people. The club is very important to me, and probably haven't done what we did last year. I feel like it's kind of important to go back and try and help them out with the amount of injuries we have. Yeah,
it's the old
credit to you.
Yeah,
that you can do that. And
yeah, I'll do what I can, Rich, but pretty soon I won't be able to.
I'm pushing 70, so I don't know.
You have a few minutes in you know.
Yeah, I know. I'm very impressed.
The old fella doesn't know what he's set in training.
Yeah.
So go back and give it one last bash. Is that?
Yeah, exactly. So you know, I've been playing 20 years with the club now at senior level, so it's you know, I know I've come on the last 2 games with 10 minutes to go, and that probably will be my role. But with the way the injuries are going, that could change. So we've been unlucky. Joe O'Connor, our Kerry player, who's going to make a big push with Kerry this year, unfortunately he's had a bad knee injury, so he'll be a really big loss to us. And we lost our up and coming corner forward Keane Purcell the last day with a similar injury. So it's just a bit of bad luck, kind of these freak injuries that happen. The game is a high contact game, as we know, and just going through a bit of a run of it now, but trying to get fellas back. Our captain Dylan Casey from last year is trying to come back. So yeah, we're just trying to kind of get the pieces together. We've our last group game. We won our first 2, so we're into a quarter final. So this last group game on Sunday against Mid Kerry will decide who's top and bottom, I think. So it's a big game in that respect, and then you're into win or go home stuff after that. You're into quarter final, and obviously, look, you know, there's a lot of good teams in the competition at the moment, including East Kerry, who are locked and loaded to go on and push for it.
Very impressive looking, yeah.
Yeah, they're impressive looking. Yeah, they're a good team.
Thing with basketball too is you can build a team around a few players. It's not like football. And
need a bit of luck. Need a bit of luck with.
It was interesting that you mentioned that, because we had this week where Dublin announced that McCaffrey and Manion were coming back, and everyone was like, "Oh, are the Dubs now the favourites for the All Ireland next year? Kerry, are they behind?" And then Kerry the next day were like, "Aha! But we've committed Tally, and he's going to stay around in the coaching." And it felt like a bit of a one-upmanship. How important was it that Kerry actually got him to stay for?
Yeah, I think it was important, because his role along with Jack and what they did this year was huge, Kathleen, in terms of, like, you know, how solid they were defensively. The amount of goals they conceded both in league and championship was really good. I think they got the middle of their defence going really strong with Jason Foley at fullback and Tyg Morley at 6. You know, you've Tom Sullivan, who's been an all-star a number of times. You've him knocking around at the left corner as well, and really attacking. So Paddy obviously coming from Tyrone, and I wouldn't pigeonhole him into being a defensive coach from who I've talked to. He's a really good all-round coach, so, but I know that would have been a focus point of him going in there to solidify Kerry, and I think he did that last year. And obviously, when you have a guy who comes in along with the manager, as a player, when you're looking at that group and you're going to win the All-Ireland, all you want as a player is nothing, you know, maybe someone to come in, but you don't want to lose anybody off that group. So it's an important move by Kerry to make that happen, and I know Jack would have been very keen that after the job they did. So it's a big one that they got him to stay. Yeah.
And with the 2 lads that Kathleen has mentioned, everybody's kind of thinking now, like the race was pretty even anyway, but the 2 lads coming back nearly tips the balance in Dublin's favour. Although I saw Colin Keys writing a piece during the week, and he was saying that this is exactly what Kerry need. Those 2 lads back in the Dublin team, no complacency now about Kerry. They have their target. It's like everybody's talking up the Dubs, and we're going to come and get you. Suddenly they've talked themselves into an underdog position almost.
Yeah, they have, yeah. Look, it's big by Dublin, no doubt, to get the boys back, and you know, they're only 30 years of age. They're still probably coming into their prime, and they're 2 unbelievable players. So that'll really strengthen them for Dublin. They'll look at the game last year against Kerry without Con and how close that game was. And all of a sudden, if you throw those 3 rockets into the middle of it, into the middle of that squad, it'll bring them on hugely. But yeah, I don't think there would have been much complacency in Kerry with Jack involved. You know, I think I would say he'd be strong in trying to do a back-to-back. You know, he was unlucky in 2005 when Tyrone beat us in a cracking final, and he won at 06 and he was gone, and then he came back in 2009 and won it, and then we had the disappointment in 2010 against Down. So I'm sure Jack would like to kind of do a back-to-back. When you see what Dublin did with getting 6 in a row, a back-to-back doesn't seem so significant, but I'm sure the Kerry team and them fellas, I don't think they would have been complacent, but it's no doubt it sharpened the focus of not only Kerry but everybody else to make sure that they come back and hitting the ground running, because Dublin will be really strong next year, and if they shoot into favourites, you know, there'll be no one saying that they shouldn't be. It's you know, them. You're talking about 2 All-Stars, you're talking about players that have been nominated for Player of the Year, and they will improve them big time, yeah.
Yeah, incredible players.
Well,
What about
repeating in any sport's so hard too.
It's yeah, exactly.
You know, it sounds easy. It's not.
Yeah, you think you've got the team, but see, there's hunger levels, there's ambition levels, there's egos come into the dressing room, there's all that kind of stuff, and it's hard to do it back to back, and you know, that's why you look at what Dublin did getting the 6 was really, truly incredible.
how do you reflect on 2022 yourself? Like, it's from an Armagh point of view, I can see that you'd leave it going, oh, we're just that close, but also like the positivity of running. I mean, there was literally nothing between yourselves and Galway.
Yeah,
you know?
the other, like, the boys did really well. Like, that was, you know, their first big championship game in Croke Park, and to go down there and put on that kind of a show when, you know, the game didn't go great for us. We started well, we went through a very bad lull before half time, and again midway through the second half, and then we were a bit unfortunate with Greg McCabe, who went out to try and get a good shoulder and a turnover, and was just a bit unfortunate that the speed the both players were going at, that there was a slight collision with the heads, and, you know, a tough call, but, you know, by the letter of the law, the ref was right in his call, given the red, even though when you looked at it live, you'd be like, oh, great hit, and then, but when you slow it down, and, you know, obviously we can't ref it, we can't ref games by slowing them down in cameras, but the call was right in the end. You have to, when you go in for your shoulder, you have to watch where your head is going. So it was a bit unlucky, but to lose a player like Greg, who's so important for us, rattled us for a big period in that second half. But, you know, tremendous credit goes to the players for, you know, it was done. Like, we were 6 points down when the game was clean injury time, and just a refusal to quit by the lads. There was no science behind it. There was no. It was solely players not giving up, and it shows a great amount about that group that they were able to come back like that and force extra time, and not only force extra time, but to play well then in extra time and really look good. But I think the Killian McDade performance in that second period of extra time was incredible. You know, his goal, his powerful running. You know, that ignited him back into the game, and then he got the point when we were a point ahead to bring it to the penalty shootout. Like, that point in the 122nd minute when your legs are gone and you're rampaging through 3 or 4 orange jerseys, and you're off to your right, which is a hard kick into the hill end, and you know, a really great score to get them the momentum nearly going into the penalties. You know, the way when you come back, if you get a last minute goal, it takes you into penalties, everybody's feeling a bit better. And they went down, and a tough situation for everybody involved. And I did it the year before at the club. It's a tough place to be when it's not something you're used to. When you're standing with 5 of your brothers that you train with all year, and you've 30 of your pals behind you looking on, and you have to walk down in front of 80,000 and take this kick. So it was a tough way to go out as a group. But considering the disappointment after the Donegal Ulster Championship game, you know, the rest of the year, you know, our boys really played well and did well for themselves, and you know, you could feel the belief in the group growing as it was going on. So they'll take a lot from that, from sure, and they're a really good bunch of lads, and I was just disappointed for them that it would end like that in penalties. It was a hard one to go away from, because you're kind of going, are we better than them? Are we not better than them? We lost in penalties, but they just got the result. But Galway showed, how for real they are. The job they did in Derry was so impressive, and there were 68 minutes against Kerry, and you know, I'm looking up at the clock at that game, kind of going, this could go absolutely anyway, the way they were playing. Shane Walsh carried the can, obviously. Jason Foley did an incredible job, and Damien Comer, which was probably the winning of the game for Kerry, because if Comer had got loose or wriggled free for a few of those scores, it would have been a hard one for them to come back in. But that's how good Galway were. So good for our fellas to know how close they were.
I like how you negotiated your way around the passion on the sideline for the Armagh team as well, without fully engaging that one. Listen, I look forward to seeing you, 39-year-old Kieran Donaghy, showing the Cliffords a thing or two, and the East. Might be at opposite ends of the pitch, but we'll be keeping an eye on it.
No pressure.
Thanks a million for coming in. Great to see you again. Rich, lovely to meet you, and best of luck with the event. We'll send out the details about how to get tickets for that on our social media accounts as well. So thanks a million for coming in. Fair play.